All right. Holy shit, Dan. Holy guacamole. Like some people like, the people that don't like to swear, they're like, holy guacamole. They're trying to protect their image, but I don't protect my image. I don't give a fuck. So holy fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, man? It just shows you like the level of talent this fucking lightweight division has, man. Just these two fights just shows you like if you reach that top echelon of that division, it just shows you that you're not a human fucking being. I'm just saying that right now. Dan, you're not a fucking human being because you were there. You reached that top part. You're fighting these guys. And you're probably gonna be fighting them again because you're gonna be at lightweight. What do
Circle
you think
back.
about? Yeah.
We'll double back around. Ah, man, you can just see why people tune into this division, right? You can
Yeah.
see why they put on one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, and it's a lightweight card, right? Because those boys go out there and get their money, go out there and everyone's like game, everyone's game at the top. Tony Chandler, everyone's going out there to absolutely fight. I was watching on my missus, she's just like, man, they really need to pay the lightweight division more. I was like, they do, babe. They do. Lightweight division does get more money, and it's for a reason because they boys go out there, touch the gloves, and absolutely swing on.
Yeah, and that main event, Oliveira and Gaethje, I felt like I watched a 15-minute fight, but the fight only lasted for 3.5 minutes. There's so much that happened in that 3.5 minutes, back and forth. Oliveira, I think with my eyes watching Oliveira when he got like clipped and he dropped to his back, I thought that was a smart, like strategic. If it was strategic, that was a smart strategic move by him, like fight IQ, to just like lay on his back and recover because he knows Chandler or not Chandler. Gaethje's probably not gonna jump in there, on top of him. And do you think
I
that's
don't
something?
think.
There's something to that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's like a good. It's a good card to have in your back pocket, right? Like when you get dropped, instead of fighting to stay on your feet and keep balanced, just having the ability to lie to your back, take 10, 15, 20 seconds just to recollect yourself. But it's just due to the threat, right? It's the threat of submission. There's not many guys that can do that. There's him and pretty much Tony Ferguson that could get dropped and roll to his back, and the guy's going to think twice before jumping on him. You're going to think, oh, it's not really worth it. I'll let him back to the feet. So it's an incredible, yeah, it's an incredible ace in the back pocket to have to be able to fall to your back and recover and then stand up when you want to stand up and get back to action. Yeah, just due to his pretty incredible submission game, he can throw up triangles and armbars off of his back. So it's just more trouble than it's worth following him down. Like a lot of people, oh, just a couple more punts. Like it's not worth it with a guy like that because
Yeah.
if he gets, especially if he's hurt and you jump on him, he gets an arm or something like that. He's gonna go all in. He's gonna go 100%. He's gonna try and take it. He's gonna try and take it off. So better to let him back to his feet.
Yeah.
But
And
same hand, he just gets straight back up and starts pressuring forward and mounting offense, which is pretty impressive.
yeah, and on the flip side, if he clips you, he's not afraid to jump in there on top of you and play that ground game. And I think that combination is just such a huge threat to anybody. You know what I mean? Like he's getting pretty damn close there to just like us forgetting about Habib. I'm just gonna put that out there, and then someone's gonna get mad. People are gonna get mad, but I'm just saying, like Charles is putting on some fucking incredible performances to make me forget about Habib, and Habib's tweeting after his Charles's fights all the time. I'm just like, come back, dude, come back and fight Charles. Let's do it. Let's put that shit together. Like, why are you
But
sitting back?
that's the sport. That's the
Yeah,
sport. People's
yeah,
people's met like that's the real like kryptonite that people's memories don't last very long at all. What is it like a year since this guy walked away and
yeah.
people are already forgetting about it. He's having to tweet post fight to keep his to keep his name in the conversation for like lightweight goat, right? Give it another 6 months, give it a year, and then we'll see how he can handle being away from all of that attention and being away from that limelight once people really forget. But again, like Khabib's the only guy to leave MMA with that. The only guy to leave MMA, to walk out of mixed martial arts a champion, without a blemish on his record, without any smudges next to his name, and that's it's better off to stay away, because you come back, you're coming straight back into the fire. Especially like that's even harder. You know, coming off after time off, getting back, getting fit, getting your mind sharp for competition again. Like that would be like a, yeah. Stay away. Stay away. Protect that that magic number 0. That's that's the only thing that will like never truly be replicated in our sport.
Yeah, it's probably really hard, to stay away, especially when you're so involved in the sport. You're not even like completely stepping away, not even going to the gym. This guy's still training. He's coaching his fighters. He's cornering fighters. He's traveling around the world. He runs a promotion. He's just totally intertwined, and it's got to be eating him inside, man. Like there's guys that people are talking about is better than you, even though they have losses. Even though they have losses, they're still talking about, yeah, Charles might be better. He might be better. Let's put that in the conversation. Come on, you guys, like complete skill set.
That's why it was so incredible what he did, because it's so hard to keep an unblemished record. Like you look at Charles Oliveira's run, he's been dropped in every one of these fights now. It's been dropped by Gaethje a few times, dropped before that. You know, all Chandler dropped him, Poirier dropped him. Like it's it just shows you how close these fights are. Like they're a couple of millimeters or a centimeter away from him not being the champ. Someone in the division looking completely different. But that's the true beauty of the sport.
Yeah, it's incredible, like how his chin has gotten better over the years. It seems like how his toughness, or maybe it was on the mental stuff or whatever, but still, the guy, like you said, he's been dropped in every single title fight and come back and has finished the fight.
I would say just like momentum is a huge part of the sport as well. Like someone having that momentum behind him. Like he knows now. Like obviously he had those things early on in his career where it looked like he was just like, nah, but it obviously shows that, like when someone has everything on the line, like he's got that confidence now that, he's the world champion. He knows in those last 2 fights, like, he got dropped in this fight, but it's like, well, the last 2, like, why would I panic? He's not panicked by it. Like, got dropped, all right, I'll take 10 seconds, sit on my back, like things are going to be all right, just because he has that momentum of pushing through those difficult times. You know what I mean? Yeah, the momentum of Charles Oliveira is pretty incredible at the moment. He'd be a hard man to stop, just purely based on like his skill set and the momentum that he's created.
The only person that has went to the judges with him in his current run, which is like more than 10 fight win streak, is Tony Ferguson, which is kind of incredible. You know what I mean? That Tony Ferguson took him to the judges, and Chandler and Poirier just went guns a-blazing with him, man. It's just, and Gaethje as well. You know what I mean? Just his last 3 fights, just, man, what can you say, man? Just the guy is incredible. I was a doubter myself, in the beginning. I was like, nah, Charles is not going to beat Chandler. Like even against Ferguson, I was just like, Ferguson's like the better version of Charles. I was falling in love with that narrative for a while, just following along with it. And then he just keeps proving me wrong. And now this time around, I was just like, yeah, I think Charles is, better than Gaethje. But then at the same time, I picked Gaethje to win the fight, which means I'm still a hater. Fuck it.
Yeah, I had potentially. Like I was more leaning towards Gaethje, like being able to keep it on the feet, and how it was going the first couple of minutes of that fight, him landing the big shots and then getting back on the move and avoiding those grappling exchanges. But just Charles Oliveira was so persistent in his game. Like he was getting dropped, he was getting rocked. He was landing some hard shots on Gaethje too. He landed like a couple of right hands right across the temple Justin Gagey I thought had him like not necessarily wobble, but catching him with some good shots, like had him getting his respect. Um, but just the persistence of Charles Oliveira has been like the real key to this recent string of good results. But that's just the sport. Like any of those fights could have gone either way. That's why it's so impressive.
Yeah, you're right. Because he, like you say, he's been dropped, right? It's just like a couple millimeters to the left or to the right could have shut his brain off. You don't know. You know what I mean? It's just, man, it's just entertaining. That's the word. It's just entertaining. We could go into the X's and O's and all that shit. But you know, like when you look at Gaethje now, right? He's still clearly one of the best in the world, but where does he go from here? You know what I mean? He loses his second title fight, like to his second opportunity at winning the title, right? It's very rare where guys lose twice fighting for the title and get a third shot. Like he's gonna have to go through the ringer to jump back in there, right?
I'm not sure. Like things can happen so quick. Like now that it's all up in the air again, like them obviously stripping Charles Oliveira, which I thought was pretty. That was a pretty weird. He must be a pretty difficult guy. His team must be a pretty difficult team to negotiate with behind the scenes. Like that's the first thing that I saw when they were like, nah, misses by half a pound, and then they stripped him of the title. And what my understanding of the situation is more of like a misunderstanding than anything, or a mistake than anything. It's why it's so weird. It's not like Charles Oliveira was like cutting so much weight that he got down to that last half a pound and just couldn't lose any more weight. That's not the situation that he was in. There's like a mishap with the scales. Like from my understanding of the situation, like most teams will have like a scale in the room with the fighter. There's a scale downstairs with the UFC, and then wherever the weigh-in is, there's another test scale before you go out and do your scale. So there's four different times like you weigh in. So it's like obvious that he calibrated his scale in his room or whatever they did, or the one at the hotel downstairs. Someone's knocked it, someone's jumped around with it. It's shifted a little bit. Like he's gone on weight, been like, all right, I'm on weight. Someone's knocked it, someone's dropped it. Like it's then shifted a little bit, and then he's been caught out. And just the way that the Brazilians cut weight as well is a bit makes it more difficult to lose that weight. Like we do like with Geordie, we do like water loads. So we're like full of water. We flush all our sugars and salts out of our system during the week with like the food that we eat. So then when we go to sit in the sauna and cut weight, our like that water is like readily available on our muscles, and we can like sweat it out. So if that were to happen to me, a mishap with the scales, I had an hour to lose the weight, I could definitely like jump back in the sauna, and that weight, like that water would come off. But my understanding of how the Brazilians do it, like they do like a water taper leading into it. So they like slowly restrict water, and then like 48 hours like early, they cut out water completely. So your body kind of goes into preservation mode of like trying to retain all of that water or keep it, you know? So when he was over and then had an hour to jump back on, like he's that water's not readily available in his muscles. So he could sit in there for as long as he wants, but he's been dehydrated for too long before starting the cut process. So yeah, it's just like a learning experience, if anything. But for me, it's like it's a misunderstanding, and it's such a small piece of weight, and we've seen so many others get away with complete bullshit and be completely unchecked by it, right? Yeah. Like DC with the towel, Hamza with the towel, Khabib with the towel. Oh, Khabib with the most bullshit weigh-in I've ever seen. Yeah. Like the guy step on it, the guy hit it, the guy hit itself and just be like 150, like you just yell it out, right? Like they could have done that to Charles, right? They could have done the same thing to Charles. Charles could have stepped on, swipe 155. And that's all she wrote. But it's obvious that behind the scenes there's a bit of something else going on. You know what I mean? So it's not like people giving Charles shit, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen stepping on a scale. You know what I mean? Like we've
Yeah.
seen it before. We've seen those three circumstances and go completely unchecked or completely unpunished, which is pretty crazy. And then to have such like a severe punishment, and for this guy to be like, "Oh, we're taking your title. You're not getting pay-per-view on your next fight." Blah 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 blah. Like it's wild. It's just wild.
Yeah, it's just, it's, I don't know. I don't want to blame the commissions 100%, but, because sometimes the UFC, they become like their own commission when they go to international shows or whatever. And I don't remember exactly where those weigh-ins happen, but yes, one thing that I'm fucking like trips me the fuck out is why are they still using the scales from 1956? Why don't they fucking use a digital scale?
They're lighter. So the if you're like a little bit over on the digital, you can still be under on the slide. Like the slide is like I've been like like 100 grams, 200 grams, maybe like 100 grams, checking my weight on the digital and being like, oh, I gotta lose 100 grams or take my undies off or something stupid. You know what I mean? And the UFC's like, nah, the slider is actually lighter than the digital scale. So like they would have known when they went downstairs to check with the UFC, they would have known that they were in some shit, right? Like they would have known like I'm a little bit over, but it's just the manner in which they cut weight was why it was so difficult, even with the hour, to get onto weight. They just kind of need to address that dehydration process or their water restriction process leading into fights.
Yeah, it shows you that still athletes around the world are trying to figure out weight cutting. It's still something, a work in progress for many fighters. I'm still thinking a lot of fighters are using their old school methods because they have no access to, I guess, better education on weight cutting. And there's always that argument. It's like, this is the reason. This is my like American in the basement like loser person. I don't want to say American, just just random people. Well, why do they keep cutting weight, man? Like they shouldn't cut weight. Like don't make different weight classes. It's like, yo, if they make different weight classes, they're still gonna fucking cut weight. So it's not gonna fucking change anything.
Yeah, like people, that's like definitely an argument against it, right? Like, oh, why don't people just fight at their natural weight class? Like, yeah, that's cool until you fight a guy that's got like 10 kilos like muscle advantage on you. Then it's like weight cutting is not safe, but also fighting someone that's the best person in the world that has a 10-kilo advantage on you is not safe either. So it's like it's pick your safe, right? Like it's what it's just a weird situation, but no one can come up with a solution for the problem, right? So it's just like the system that we have in place is different. This is not to me, this is not like a weight cutting issue. Charles Oliveira missed. This is like more of a misunderstanding. An oversight, or it's a mistake. It's not that he cut too much weight or sat in the sauna. Like it's nothing like that. It's a mistake. They thought their scales were on. The scales weren't on.
Yeah, exactly. What was the whole rumor about like the scale that they had downstairs overnight, the night before the weigh-in, somebody recalibrated it from kilos to pounds, and that's where the mistake happened. There was a rumor going around like that, or is that the truth? I have no idea.
So the way that it'll work, right? Like they have during fight week, they'll have two digital scales like in the hotel. like kind of just one for each because they separate the teams, like one for each corner, red corner, blue corner, and then weigh-in day or the day that you're weighing in, or they'll take one of those scales and take it to the weigh-in venue. So there's one scale left, like the night before the fight, the morning of the weigh-in, the night before the weigh-in, the morning of the weigh-in. There'll be like a scale. There's only one scale for everyone, right? So that's how many? 24. That's 24 fighters, 24 teams using one scale. You know what I mean? Like, I don't read pounds. I read it in kilos. Like, I switch that thing up. Guys are jumping around. Guys are mad. Guy might check his weight. He might bang the scale. Like, there's so many variables that can go into that. It's yeah, it's not like the UFC is going to calibrate it every 20 minutes. Like, that's the only real option, right? Like, it's just that's what I'm saying. It's just a mistake. Like, the guy's getting hammered. The guy's going to lose like a couple $1 million for a mistake. It's not. He could have like, if you were to just point at me, I'd be like, yeah, I don't care about the 200 grams. Give him his belt. I don't give a shit. Like, let's still fight. It's not going to impact the result of the fight.
Yeah, well, I guess it's gonna. Like, this leads to a vacant title fight now, and of course, Charles Oliveira is going to be one of the participants. Imagine if he's not. Imagine if he's not one of the participants for the vacant. That could happen. Let's put on our tinfoil hats. let's put them on. Let's put them on. All right, I got the next fight. The next title fight does not involve Charles Oliveira. It is going to be Islam Makhachev versus Conor McGregor. Even though Charles called out Conor, if Conor's going to drop down, what other fight would be great? Of course, Charles would be a great fight. But did you see the tweet that Conor put out about going back down to 155 right after the fight? Did you see it?
During the strawweight title, I did have some Twitter time, so I did jump on Twitter during that fight, and I saw Conor call out or accepted a fight with. Not kind of called him out. Kind of called out Chandler. Was like, we can get it done. I guarantee you, this is my guarantee. I got my tinfoil hat. I guarantee on whatever happens, Makhachev is getting a title fight in Abu Dhabi later this year, without a doubt. Makhachev
Michael
is getting
Chandler.
Makhachev.
Oh, Makhachev. Okay.
Islam will get a title fight in Abu Dhabi. Like, the kind of
there's
money
a date for that
place throws around to get these boys over there. He's gonna be part of the title picture. Like, regardless of who fights, if there's another fight, Makhachev's getting a title fight, and that on that date, just because of that money that they've got, the money that they're throwing around. Like, there's more at play than people kind of understand.
Yeah, they got that stupid money. They got that, zero fucks given money. Like,
they got that make any title fight they want money. They got
that Hasbulla versus Conor McGregor money. They put that together. If they
could
to.
easily. If the Sheik really wanted to see that, that's the fight that you would see.
For real. You make sense, because they do have a UFC, a pay-per-view on October 22nd lined up in Abu Dhabi, UFC 281. So Dan predicting the future again, but that's tinfoil hat. My matchup is Makhachev versus Conor. Oliveira might get screwed because you see guys get screwed or timing or injuries.
It would have to be an injury. If that fight got set and like, if Oliveira Makhachev got set for Abu Dhabi and then like Oliveira got injured, then I could definitely see like Michael Chandler or Conor McGregor coming back into the division and fighting for the title. I definitely feel like that's the fight, right? What month are we in now? That Abu Dhabi's November, I believe.
October.
That could be October. It's just around the corner.
Exactly.
It's just around the corner.
Exactly.
That's the fight. Makachev, Oliveira gets screwed if he gets injured. If he gets injured, he gets screwed, and someone else fights for the title. That's the beauty of the UFC stripping him in this position, right? Like, trust me, Makachev has to fight for a title in Abu Dhabi. That's happening, regardless of what gets thrown out. Yeah, like that's the major plan that they have set in motion for that.
Tapology put Makachev main event UFC 281 versus TBA. It's going to happen. I agree with you. I could see that happening because he's probably the biggest star, and maybe Hamzat co-main event on that if they could throw him in there. But Islam is probably the biggest guy that could main event in Abu Dhabi, so you'd have to save him for that. But what about the Ali Shuffle? That could be a factor. Remember the Ali Shuffle, right? Like
this is the Ali Shuffle. This is the Ali Shuffle.
This is the shuffle, right? Yeah, man, lighting that shit up real good. What is it? Let's skip over the co-main event. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Just slide over to Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler. Man, that kick to the face, yo, that was like perfect kick.
You can. I was laughing to myself during that fight. I'm not going to skip over it. I'm going to go straight to it. I feel like they're one and the same. I feel like the Tony Ferguson Michael Chandler fight and the Carla Esparza Rose Namajunas fights are like there's a correlation there, because I obviously watched the Chandler Ferguson fight. Ferguson gets knocked out of like this crazy knockout, goes down bad. And I'm like, wow. And then I go on, I'm watching the next fight. That fight's like a bit of a stalemate. So I go on the internet and I look. Tony Ferguson is already a meme. Tony Ferguson's body, lifeless body, people already going, oh, Tony Ferguson sent to the shadow realm. Tony Ferguson's this, Tony Ferguson's like, there's already people just like memeing them up, getting them run through. And then I look up and I'm watching these two girls fighting incredibly carefully. And then keep scrolling on my Twitter feed and people are going, this sucks. This is boring. Why are they doing this? They should get their purses taken off them. And I'm just like, it's the same. Like, neither of these girls want to turn into a meme. You can't blame them for that. You know what I mean? You've just seen a guy getting memed and potentially his career, you know what I mean? And then in the next fight, you're going to attack them for being too careful. It's like, how about you don't turn them into a meme and these girls won't be definitely... You've got a meme right there.
Jesus. The moment of impact is just... He just turned into an 80-year-old man. What the fuck happened? It's just insane, man.
That's the sport. Like, he was looking sharp, man. If I'm being honest about Ferguson, he was looking good. Yeah. Like besides that, he had not really made any mistakes. Like leading into that, he was tagging Chandler. Chandler was forced to like adjust. Right, we haven't seen Chandler like implement a wrestle heavy game. Even when he has been hurt by Gagey or something like that, like he has been hurt, he still didn't implement like a wrestling style attack. So he was obviously like adapting to deal with the pressure that Tony Ferguson was amplifying to him or putting him under. So Tony Ferguson was like doing sharp. It's just one of those things. It's just that's the way the cookie crumbles in this sport. Like you can do everything right and still get knocked out. You don't have to make a mistake and you can still get knocked out. And you can see like Tony Ferguson's like disbelief when he gets up, because like I've been there as well. You're just fighting. Then the next minute you're over and you're like, maybe this is a bad dream. Maybe I'm going to wake up like from this bad dream. And then you're just standing up going, you're like, nope, this is the way it went down. This is the way the cookie crumbled. So like people are going to say what they say about Tony Ferguson, but to me, it doesn't look like none of those were the signs of a fighter that doesn't want to be in there.
Yeah.
Like he got caught. He got taken out. It was just one of those shots that just set someone's lights off. And that's the danger of Michael Chandler, because he goes all in. He's not there preserving himself. If he gets he goes 100% on every single shot. But to me, Tony Ferguson is not a fighter that's like looking for a way out. If you see a fighter like kind of start going a bit tentative or turning away or getting hit with a hard shot and like not looking like they want to engage, that's not a fighter. That's not the signs that I saw in that fight. So hopefully he heals up all right and we see him back out there.
Yeah, I actually had Ferguson probably edging out the first round. You know what I mean? He dropped Chandler, and then he was working off his back, even though Chandler kind of dominated the second half of the fight on the ground on top. But I felt like he was active enough off the back with elbows. He took some shots, but he knocked down Chandler early in the fight, and he was looking really good. Like you said, he was looking really good. He didn't look like a guy that was dwindling in his skill set. He kind of came out a little different too. Like his movement was a little bit different. Made some adjustments. I thought he looked pretty sharp. Like you said, just you could be on a 10-fight winning streak and get hit with that fucking kick to the face, and your 10-fight winning streak is gone. You know what I mean? If you're losing 5 in a row, you get hit to the fucking face with that front kick. Now you lost 6 in a row, man. It's just that kick. I wish everybody that talks shit would just get hit in the face with that kick. That's what I just want to see. Boom! I just want to see Michael Chandler just kick everybody in the face, and then this will be you. This will be you, you fucking weirdos talking shit. But you know, it's
So they do. It's sport. It's not even else. It's sport fans. It's like it's just the way that sport fans go about things. It's
yeah.
To me, I feel like combat sports needs a different level of respect, because there's a bit more going on than chucking a ball around or hitting something with a bat or driving something. Like there's a bit more going on when we get out there. So I feel like it deserves a bit more respect. But going out there and demanding it is like it's like pissing in the wind. I feel like I feel like more bad shit's gonna come back than good's gonna come. And good's gonna come from it. Like it's just a waste of time. It's just you have to, it's part of your sport turning into like turning to a mainstream audience. As you get mainstream understanding, you get mainstream sport fans. I guess it's just part and parcel.
Yeah, man. It's definitely gonna get more bad shit coming back if you pissing, against the wind. unless you're Machida, he enjoys a little bit of.
He loves the piss in the wind.
Yeah, a little bit of piss in the cup. It's all good. It's fancy. Chandler, man, fucking, what did he do? Chandler, he knows what to do. He gets on that mic, and he puts on a good little promo of like who he wants to fight, or kind of like laying out his options. I like
obviously
that.
have the. I'm gonna guess it because I watched the fights on mute. I didn't listen to Michael Chandler. I'm gonna guess it, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. He called out Gagey, he called out Oliveira, and he called out Conor McGregor. That's like what? Like the guy. I'm listening to music, so I can just see his mouth move. But like from where I'm sitting, those are his options, right? Like those are his 3 best options. So he cut a promo for all 3 of them, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
He cut a promo. Like the guy knows what to do. He knows how to sell a fight. That's why regardless of how his last 2 fights, he's right. He's right in that title picture, which is how fast the sport can change.
Exactly. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win again against a top guy. You're back in the mix, and then you're whatever you bring to the table is just more collateral for you to kind of like push for that title. And yeah, Chandler did the best thing. Those are the 3 best options, right? Whoever wins the main event, or Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? Like, I actually like that matchup. You know what I mean? Chandler versus Conor McGregor. That's a great fight. You know what I mean? Chandler's going to go in there and try to bang with Conor, and that's what Conor wants. Conor wants that kind of matchup. He doesn't want Oliveira.
When a champion calls you out, you know what I mean? The champ calls you out. That puts the belt on the line. Like, I'm sure, whoever's going to draw Conor McGregor back into a fight, it's got to have something to offer, right? Like he would fight Michael Chandler because he knows beating Michael Chandler is a shot at the title. Well, if you're already getting a shot at the title, then you don't need to take the fight that gets you a shot at the title, right? Like, very rarely the champions call people out, but obviously he's calling Conor McGregor for a reason. That's the man. That's the only fight no one would ever turn down.
You think Tony Ferguson gets another fight? Do you think he stays with the UFC?
100%, 100%. They're not like that's not the UFC is not in the business of like letting fighter go with like his name still intact, where it's like he can go and sell it like elsewhere. You know what? Like you know what I mean? Like if Tony Ferguson left the UFC right now, went to PFL, went to Bellator, like he'd still be like I'll watch him fight anywhere. You know what I mean? Like I'll watch him fight in the PFL, I'll watch him in Bellator, I'll watch him fight wherever he wants to fight and Ryzen and what like wherever he possibly would go. I would watch him fight. Like the UFC is not in the business of releasing fighters that still have name value. They'll give him like Tony Ferguson lose another 10 fights. Like he'll lose every fight left on his contract before the UFC would think about cutting him or releasing him or anything like that. It's just it's business. Like it's smart business. Don't be you can't just be like a silly sportsman and just think like you're gonna get treated like you're a commodity. Deal with it. Understand that.
Well, he was going in hard on Dana during fight week, talking about he's a drug dealer, and
so does Nate though. Like so does Nate could say whatever he possibly wanted. Like Dana's not going to tear up his contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why they say those things.
So they just need to face the fact.
Tony Ferguson's probably got like I don't know how many. Like I have no idea about his contract. He's still got like a lot of fights left on his contract. Like he's not getting out. Like that's why they start. That's why these guys get the freedom to start saying these kind of things because they legitimately don't care. They legitimately can make good money outside of the UFC. It's just the UFC is not gonna release them and allow another promotion to get a marquee big star name. That doesn't make any business sense.
Yeah, especially in this industry where it's the hardest sport I think to build stars. To be honest with you, because everything's related to winning. You know what I mean? Like some sports you could lose and still have
it is, star and then there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really see. There's a lot that goes on about like a lot of it comes down to like how you pick your matches, but it's like you have too many guys picking your matches and too many guys looking after their records. Well, then no one fights. Then we turn into boxing, which is a completely broken system. So the UFC definitely has the people that they push, but it's very select. It's very selective who they get behind and who they push.
Mm-hmm. Well, as long as we're sticking to the lightweight division, have they offered you a fight at lightweight? Yes or no? Simple question.
Nah. Why is everyone asking me that? Everyone's asking me whether I'm gonna fight. This is not the first time that someone has been like, I heard a rumor.
I haven't heard no rumors. Because okay. I would have told you behind the scenes, like off air, like, yeah, I heard a rumor, right?
True. Nah. I got nothing. There's one update. I wouldn't know now. I wouldn't know because I am no longer self-managed. I no longer look after myself.
Who's your manager now?
I have a management team, which you must go through.
for everything.
I'm removed from the decision-making process. Now, like, I obviously identified that as like one of the major problems due to like my recent run is because you can see like the guys getting the big opportunities or making it to that top echelon. Like this, the skill set is so finite. Like everyone's fit, everyone's good, everyone's well-rounded, but there's like a bit more calculation that needs to go into the decision-making process, and that's like where I was letting myself down. Like I thought that I could make like these calculated decisions, but you come to the realization that you're just like far too you're far too impulsive, and they play on that impulsiveness of a fighter. Like you get offered a fight, like your pride, your sense of pride comes up. Like there's a lot of fighters out there that would never turn down a fight, but like I'm sure like Islam Makhachev, if you ever sat down and actually asked him, like he would never turn a fight down or turn a name down. But I guarantee that his team has turned down a lot of names.
Yeah.
Like you look at any of these top guys, like I guarantee you they'll never turn a fight down. Like they'll fight absolutely everyone. Like you see it as an opportunity, you see it as a challenge. You would never turn them down. But the team around them can kind of make these decisions a lot more objectively than like a impulsive fighter. So yeah, I was getting myself into too much trouble just with my impulsiveness.
And it gives you a buffer zone, between you and the matchmakers or whoever's, Hunter or these names that they throw, Dana or whoever's in charge. It gives you a buffer zone, and I guess sometimes it's needed. Is this group some people we know, or is it just some people?
Of course, brother. You can only go with the team that you back. You can only go with the people around you. So I'm signed to a team piece. I'm signed to.
Okay, all right. With Kai, is Kai signed? Yeah.
Kai, Brad, Carlos.
Yeah.
My team.
That's your team. All right. Official announcement. Have you told anybody?
Official announcement. I have not. Well, I've told my missus.
Of course. You got to make decisions, you know what I mean? The right one. So, that's the council right there. But yeah, a team piece, not a bad group to have you, support you. And like you said, you stay at home, right? That's a homegrown management company. So it's good to hear, man. Good to hear. So I guess we'll be hearing some news eventually, you know what I mean? I'm thinking that this lightweight division, they're going to try to push some bigger fights. So that top 10 is going to be pretty busy in the next couple of months or towards the end of the year. Co-main event. Let's move on to that. Split decision win by Carla Esparza. I tweeted out, Carla Esparza is winning this fight. She's going to use her wrestling pedigree and her ground game. And guess what she did?
Wow, we're on the show last week. And you picked Rose.
I know, but
I want you to point at the person that picked Carla Esparza to win.
All right, MMA junkie Dan Tom, my boy Dan Tom, analyzes.
That would be this guy sitting right here. Team Oyama, baby. Team Oyama.
You did. I remember. You did say Team Oyama, and Carla went in there and kind of really stuck to what she knew, and she just picked her spots and won the fight. It was like the most confusing fight to watch when it first began. The first 10 minutes were like, are they playing like, like when you like warm up for practice, some gyms, like they'll be like, oh yeah, let's do a hip tag or shoulder tag or stomp on. Yeah, it was kind of like that for 10 minutes. They were just like kind of like moving around and like dancing with each other for a while. It was uneventful.
Yeah, it was a bit. But like as I said before about the Tony Ferguson one, you can look at Rose Namajunas' record, right? Like she has actually sent like a lot of girls to the shadow realm with head kicks and some wild stuff. You know what I mean? So you can't just go jumping at her. Like she was doing a good job of maintaining her distance. Like, so what, Carla just storms across the cage, takes a risk and gets knocked out. Like these girls have the power to knock each other out. They're not that's just like the level of respect that was in that fight. Like Rose respected Carla's grappling to like that to that level that it turns it on its head, right?
Yeah. Could it be? Could it be like? Yeah, I guess there is a level of respect when you fought somebody already and they beat you with their wrestling and their ground game to the point where in the second fight you probably don't want to get to that place, you know what I mean? Because you could kind of start panicking. High level fighters can panic. People act like, they're invincible. They're not, you know what I mean? Of course, they're different kinds of humans, but everybody panics in certain situations. People are triggered by so many different things. It's like people that are claustrophobic in an elevator. But for me, like, I don't understand that really, but I do understand it because that person's just different. They're built different, and yeah, just claustrophobia confuses me in a way. But yeah, if you put somebody in a certain position, I guess from me talking with certain fighters and asking them about like PTSD and like certain things that trigger them in practice, they say there are things for almost every fighter that kind of gets them a little anxiety, in certain positions. And that could be something that played into this fight. I don't know. But you know what Trevor Whitman told Rose Namajunas after the fourth round? This is I saw a tweet about it, that she won all 4 rounds. That's what he told her heading into the 5th.
Yeah, but you can't like yeah, a lot of people judge like what people say between rounds, like whatever he said, like you won these rounds but you lost these rounds. People are like, oh, like the commentators always jump on people. They're like, oh, they shouldn't have told them that they're winning, or you shouldn't have told them. Like, you don't know I don't know the personal relationship. Like, Trevor knows Rose a lot better than we know her. Trevor knows how to motivate her. Trevor knows how she thinks. You know what I mean? Like, perhaps he went out there and told her, hey, it's you need this last round or you're gonna lose. Like, then she'll get anxiety, then she'll lock up, then she'll be tense. Like, then maybe she flows better when she thinks she's winning. She's like a confidence fighter or a momentum fighter. So some fighters are momentum fighters. So if you tell them, no, you're doing a great job, you're winning, like, you're looking amazing out there, they believe it. They think, oh, I'm winning, I'm doing amazing. They go out there and they do amazing because they think they're winning. So it's hard. Like, I would never criticize like a coach fighter relationship, because I don't know how she, like, what triggers her anxiety. I don't know what kind of stress she's under outside of practice, or what kind of is going to chuck her over the edge in that kind of environment. Like, Trevor knows. I'm sure he was readily aware of the situation and what was going on, but had to adapt
Yeah.
quickly. Like, all of the best coaches in the world, all of like the elites, have like self-preservation over everything. Like, trust me, like my coach Eugene, Trevor Whitman, like all of these guys preach self-preservation over everything else. If you want to go out there and try to take someone's head off, like a Justin Gaethje with Trevor Whitman, like, it's not like Trevor goes out and tells him to do that. Like, he just does that instinctively off a fighter. Like, that's not a good coach's role, or a world-class coach's role, is to get his fighter out of there, have a good contest, showcase a good performance, but get him out of there unscathed. So you're hardly going to see a guy like Trevor Whitman just lean in there and go, just swing, like throw more, like throw more shots. Like, it's not their role. It's on the fighter if the fighter wants to engage. Like, if a fighter doesn't want to engage that night, well, it's not like really the coach's role to push him over the edge. And you can't make someone fight. You can't make someone take risks, because then now, like, all of that blame lies on the coach and not on the fighter.
Yeah, that's completely true. You know what I mean? There's too much focus on what is being said in between rounds. You know what I mean? Like, they dissect it. Like, people are with the fucking microscope, one of those round ones and shit that you burn ants with or whatever.
Yeah,
Just
you should have said this, you should have said that. Like, oh, you don't know the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these coaches are with these fighters multiple times a day, every single day. Like, they know their family. They know what's going on in their private life. They know when they're having relationship problems. They know if a family member has passed away. Like there's a lot that
Mm.
a coach knows that you don't know from watching a couple of interviews on the TV. Like that's not going to give you a true insight into these fighters' perspectives and lives. Like these coaches know how these guys tick. They
Mhm.
know what motivates them. They know what kind of situation they're in. So they're far more qualified to go out throwing instructions out than me watching a couple of Rose Namajunas videos and being like, "Oh, everything's great." Like, of course, you watch the fight week interviews. Of course, everything's great. What are you gonna like? Everything's great. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna come into fight week and say everything's shit. My uncle died. My cat died. Like this happened. I had this problem. Like, no one's gonna come out there and fight week and you're there fight week doing interviews to promote a fight.
Mhm.
You're trying to promote a fist fighting contest. Like, how are you going to promote that by telling everyone all the shit stuff that's going on in your life? You're going to pick out the stuff that went really well and put that across because that's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's true. You have to. But I would like for a fighter to just flip that and just come into fight week during press conference and they're like, "How do you feel heading into this?" I feel like shit, and yeah, like I fucking clipped my toenails too short. Fucking I got
Yeah,
a
but they
concussion
did.
3
Like
weeks ago.
they did. Nick Diaz came and did that, and people told
Oh,
him he
that's
should
right.
retire. People told him
That's
he
right.
should. What's he doing in there? The guy shouldn't be part of the sport. The guy should retire. So someone did that. Like the guy was honest. He was just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like I'm doing this because other people have led me down, and they're saying that I have to do this. I don't even want to be like the guy was like hard on his chest, blatantly honest, and
Mhm.
people kind of people kind of if the result doesn't go look winning cures everything.
Yeah.
Winning shuts up everyone in the sport. Like that's just why winning is so important in this game. Had Nick Diaz won, it would have been like the funniest thing of all time, right? But he didn't, so therefore he was criticized for those interviews leading into that.
Yeah, I liked his interviews. I thought that he was the most coherent. That's fucking wild to say, but he was like the most coherent that fight week compared to like other fight weeks where he was coming in, everybody's all hyped for him and shit like that. He just said some fucking random shit that nobody understood. That fight week, everybody understood what he was talking about, and it was just telling the realities, man. I think like just because you tell the realities doesn't mean that you shouldn't be fighting. You know what I mean? Maybe some people did take him down the road, but it looks like he's gonna come back later this year, Nick Diaz, and
Mm,
I don't know, everybody's gonna watch it. They fucking forget about what happened last fight. They just be like, Nick Diaz is coming back, and then
of
he just cut
course,
a couple
of
promos,
course,
and
of
then he's
course,
fighting
of
fucking
course.
Cowboy Cerrone or somebody, right? Why not? Fuck it, you know?
Why not?
Yeah. So yeah, that fight. Would you put on like the trilogy instantly, or do you think like, okay, Esparza beat Namajunas twice, let Namajunas get a win or two, or let's just put it together. Let's see the third one.
A lot of it is actually up to the champion. Like the champion can actually there's a bit of leeway to have like a negotiation process there, but the UFC didn't want that fight in the first place.
Yeah.
Like the UFC Rose pushed for the Esparza fight. So Rose pushed to make that fight happen. The UFC was like, nah, like Esparza's not gonna sell or that's like not as marketable a fight as there are out there. So she pushed for it. So she took the risk and you have to like live with that decision making process. So it could not be like it might not be. It might not be the next fight because you don't know how the UFC is kind of looking. Like, do they want to see? Is that like a marketable? You want to watch that again? You know what I mean?
Not it's not marketable. What are you gonna show from
it's
that fight?
it's it's not it's not marketable. Like average Joe who doesn't know, he's seen a couple of highlights. Like he's gonna watch that fight. He's gonna want his money back. Like
Mhm.
and average Joe is the one that keeps the shareholders with a healthy bankroll. You know what I mean? Like the hardcore MMA fans, like they're gonna watch anything. They're gonna watch paint dry. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna watch anything. You put Hamzat Chimaev mowing his lawns, like the hardcore fans are gonna watch that shit. Like without a doubt, I'm gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna read articles about it. You know what I mean? But average Joe is not gonna want. Like they want to see action.
Yeah, and yeah, I hate to say it, but that fight was the least action-packed title fight I've seen in a long time. There's been some, but that one took the cake. I mean, it was a weird sandwich of fights. You know what I mean? Like you said, the Ferguson fight just had happened, and then this 5-round, 25 minutes of just kind of like running around, and then you get into the fucking Charles Oliveira and Gaethje fight where it was just complete chaos for one round, man. You gotta love it, man. The balance of the sport, right? You get the yin and the yang of everything. Now, when you look
But like,
back,
what do you do though? What do you do? Do you do you do what people were saying? Do you like how do you like? Did they break any rules?
no,
Like they didn't. What did they do wrong?
nothing.
They didn't do nothing wrong. They didn't
Yeah.
break any rules. So how do you stop that? Like if you're the UFC, like how do you stop that happening again? Like do you then change the rules where the referee can they were like penalize like a pride style, like penalize the fighter holder. You saw that a lot in going back and watching Pride, right? The guy holds up a yellow card. You get a couple of yellow cards, like you're in the shit. You know what I mean? Um, I don't think so. I don't think that's just. Then you're just like wanting action. Then you're just wanting car crashes, right? And then
That's what
like the
most people
guy,
want, though.
yeah, but then we lose the guise of this being a sport, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's a sport. I think it's just a couple of people having a dust up in a cage. You know what I mean? But we have all of these other rules in place. So we have this magic mystique and this guise of this being like a sport, and you can bet on it, and we can be on ESPN, and everything can be happy days. But it's not, right? You'll see the reaction. There'll be some kind of penalty. There'll be some kind of penalty, whether we see it or whether it's behind the scenes. There'll be some kind of penalty to discourage this happening again.
All right. Before we move on to the rest of the card, I have to bring this up. The whole I texted you about it. The whole fucking Chael Sonnen revealing the short list of fighters that are being considered to fight Conor.
Chael's my guy. Chael's my guy. You know what I mean?
And he mentioned you as one of the guys on the short list to fight Conor. And I know you, Conor, it's a done deal. Like, even if you have management, most likely you'll be like, management, come on. How could you pass that opportunity up?
There's not a fighter walking the face of the planet that would turn down a fight with Conor McGregor. So I feel like it's already implied. Like I would take a fight with absolutely anyone. So I'm hardly going to turn down a fight with the easiest to sell fight. But you can look and see now, right? Like he's just got he's just semi-agreed to a fight with Michael Chandler, who's possibly going to be number 2 or number 3 in the world after a performance like that. And he's getting called out by the champion. He's getting Usman responding to him as well. Like Usman would take that fight as well. So having champions call someone out is you know what I mean? It will be a done deal.
Man, Conor is going after Ferguson, just dancing on his grave. It's pretty a lot of people might think it's disgusting. Some people love it, but
what's he saying?
He's saying let me pull it up right here. Here we go. This is actually the one with the picture. Let me pull it up. I got it here. It says, if you pulled that out of a McDonald's bag, you dip it in the sauce and eat it without a moment's thought. No doubt. He's probably talking about Chandler's toes. That would pass for a legit McDonald's chicken nugget. That's crazy. Because, he's been calling them McNugget for the longest time, right? So
Yeah,
I guess that's
they've obviously got they've got like a personal beef, right? Because they
Mhm.
were under the like that's they were under the same management company, and then obviously like Conor McGregor had something to do with Paradigm, whether like as a business partner role or something like that. And Tony
Mhm.
Ferguson then left that management company and went somebody else. So they've had a beef for a while now. So you can see like that kind of personal beef come out on Twitter. That's the amazement of Twitter. The amazing world of Twitter.
Exactly. And here's another one. There's another tweet that he was mentioning about not wanting to cut down to 155, and but he said he'll still fight, Oliveira. But it was like he was teetering, like he didn't like bite on fighting Oliveira at 155, even though the title would be on the line, which was kind of interesting to me. Like he really wants that Usman fight. It seems like at 170, he doesn't want to. He says he likes walking around as a refrigerator. Have you seen pictures of him lately? The dude looks like he doesn't look like himself anymore.
Yeah,
He
but you
looks
have to
like a
like
different person.
yeah, but like how much like it's not it comes to a certain point where it's not about the money, right?
Mm.
Like it's the guy doesn't need any more money. Like it's not about the money. So you need to dangle like a carrot nice enough for him to want to come back, right? Like come back and win the lightweight title again. Like he might be thinking, why? You know what I mean? Coming back and being the first 3 division champ, like that is something that obviously interests him. So people can criticize it however they like, but it's incredible. The guy wants to go out there and make history, but you can sit back and say he's delusional, you know, as people do as much as you want, but aren't like all people that do great things a little bit delusional? Like
You have to be.
you would have to be delusional to
Mhm.
go after an opportunity like that. So you definitely can't blame them for it.
Yeah, you can't. There's actually a question here from Kimball Mercer. What's up, Kimball or Kimball? I saw you working out with Zhang Wei Li. What
I
was
want to
that
see
like?
I want to see you boxer.
I wasn't working out with Zhang Wei Li. Zhang Wei Li is she's doing her camp here at the gym, so I see her every day. But she's
Claim
working with
her,
like a.
claim her. If you're under the same roof, technically you're training together. I'm training with Zhang Li.
All right, in Dan's terms, in Dan's definition, I am training with Zhang Wei Li, but I've never actually like trained with her, right? Because she's in camp, so I really don't want to bother her, you know what I mean, with anything. And she's kind of doing everything separate with her little team, and then she brings in the people that she needs from the Bang Tao team to help her out or whatever. But yeah, she has a small core group that she does practice over in the corner. I want to grapple her,
Just
but
roll over there. Just roll over there with your gloves. Throw them down on the ground. Start beating your chest. I want to see the video of that. I want to see the video of you with her boxing.
stand up. Yeah, because man, I watched her on the pads and her spar, and man, she's just like a rocket. She's just built. She's built like I think Andrade is built like crazy for a fighter, but Zhang Weili is built pretty much the same, man. It's like she reminds me of like a Chinese assassin, like just coming to your house. She flew in from fucking deep in the mountains of China, and then she fucking killed you and left. Like that's what she reminds me of, just the way she moves and just does everything. It's just she's in camp, right? She's gonna fight in June against Joanna, so I don't really want to bother her too much because I see, she's focused, man. You don't want to mess with a focused fighter. You don't want to throw them off, right? So you don't want to be blamed.
You think she'll get on the mic and be like, "It was his fault."
Yeah.
There's one day I was training. He came along, he distracted me, and now I've lost my fight. It's killed my concentration and my momentum of the whole camp.
Yeah, it's shit. Well, crazier things than happen, but well, look at this. Kimball Mercer. She says, "That's funny. I actually am a dancer. Thanks for the clarification." Oh, you're the dancer. Okay. Now you got to clarify like what kind of dancer. Like we need to know now. You know what I mean? Like tell us the truth, Kimball.
There's a lot of different types. You know
Exactly,
what I mean?
like ballet dancer. You know, there's so many kinds. With yeah, with that, yeah, I'm gonna try to grapple with her, but you know that might be a risk of her getting injured. You know what I mean? Because you know I'm just such a fucking tank on the ground, so it's like I don't know. I might not want to bother with that. I'm just saying.
Snapper shit.
Yeah. I might be in Joanna's camp. Who knows? You know what I mean? I might be the spy.
Who knows?
Who
You
knows?
might be.
Exactly. Fuck that. Yeah. So the rest of the card, the Shogun was on this. I didn't even know he was gonna fight on this card. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden he's fighting OSP again. I was like, that's the rematch that nobody wanted, but we saw it for 15 minutes. And Shogun, did he win? No, OSP won again. Shogun, man, he's 40 years old. His body is looking like a 40-year-old body, right? And he's still fighting against.
But he started so young, right? Like people forget like how young he was in Pride, right? Like he was like 20 years old. He was like early 20s when he was competing in Pride. Like people, yeah. That's a hard one. That's a hard one because I absolutely love Shogun, but if we're talking about like, yeah, it's a bit tentative. The style that he chooses now, or like you can see that it's not the same to me as like Tony Ferguson, where he looks sharp, he looks good, he's aggressive, he's dynamic, and all of that stuff. Like Shogun looks like he's slowed down a bit for sure. I don't want him to ever hear me say that, or there'd be like a news story about that, because I feel terrible even saying that. I don't even like saying that about fighters. It's not up to me. Yeah. Shogun, he's coming back for that light heavyweight title.
Flip the script. You know, there's so many people out there like doing post shows that are just gonna fucking dig into Shogun, like just dig deep, and they're gonna be forgetting about who Shogun is. Like like this NFT thing that they're doing with like highlights and shit. It seems like, why don't they go back and just put like some of the highlights from Pride? I think you could make some dope ass NFTs off the shit, like those soccer kicks from Shogun in some of his fights, just fucking blasting someone's head like a fucking watermelon. Exactly, those foot stuff. What about Mark Hunt's fucking atomic butt drop?
That's a good one.
That's a fucking good one, man. I love it.
Buy that NFT, but it'll probably cost $1 million, as they do.
I know. Yeah, and I don't want to get into the NFT thing, but there's some. I've been reading some shitty things about those NFTs. Like they're not gonna appreciate in value and all this stuff. I'm like, that's what they said about Bitcoin too, and I don't know, could be wrong. But what OSP's 39. He's old school too, man. He comes from the Strikeforce days. You know what I mean? Not many fighters left from the Strikeforce.
That's era. Old school. You can't compare. You can't say Strikeforce. We can't. That's apple. That's apple and oranges. Saying Pride's old school and Strikeforce is old school. Strikeforce is new. Like to me, that's a new development.
It's a new development. How long until the UFC buys one championship? Do you see that happening? This is just a random thought that I had.
No, I don't think one championship is like I don't know, like they like getting a lot there's like a lot of financial stuff gets like released on them into the media, right? And it's not looking like it makes a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's some good questions here. Kimball's back. Kimball, you never responded with what kind of a dancer you are. So, but we're gonna delight you with do you and Dan have any tips for a beginner in jiu-jitsu?
Are we getting catfish? Are we getting catfish live on our show?
If we are, I want to get fished. So let's fish away.
My man's going fishing. My man's
Yeah.
going fishing. Cast that rod.
Yeah, I want catfish, swordfish, whatever the fuck you got. Bring it on. Let's see. But
Do you have
tips
any
on,
tips?
yeah, what's your tips?
Just go to class. Like it's really not
Yeah.
not rocket science. Keep showing up.
If
You
you
get
are a
less.
dancer,
You'll get less and less suck every day. Yeah, if you have a dance, you have a man. Some people come into your class, right, and you teach them, and you're just like, some people. I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, oh, like 28. And you're just like, and you still haven't figured out left and right. I can't. I'm like, I was asking one bloke the other week. I was like, how did you get here? And he was like, oh, I drove my car. And I was like, you can operate a motor vehicle. You can turn the keys in. You can get the lights. You can turn it. You can indicate, but you can't. You can't do this. I'm like, my guy. Giving people shit is half of the fun of being a coach.
Well, yeah, thick skin. If you're gonna join jiu-jitsu, you gotta get thick skin because a lot of people are just gonna be talking shit, and you gotta.
I
Talk
feel
shit
like
back.
this is like my experience from like getting coached like throughout the world is that people like what people think it's gonna be like, and then what it like legitimately is are two very different things. Like people think that they're gonna like walk into a gym, they're gonna like do like a first couple of classes, like the coach is gonna look at them and just be like, whoa, like you might be the next big thing. Like maybe if you just kept this elbow in a little tighter and did this, like you'll start knocking some people out. Like that's like what they think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I swear, like at every gym I've been in, like world class, like every world class coach that I've trained with, it's like the opposite. It's like you show up so much and you're there so often that the stuff that you do wrong just agitates the coach to a point where they have to say something. So like that's why people like people come like once a week or once a month. They show up and they're like, "Oh, Dan, can you give me some tips on blah blah blah?" And it's just like just show up. Like I can't see what you're doing like wrong consistently. You know what I mean? But if a guy sucks, but he comes here every day, does the same mistake, I'll just be like, I'll go, oh, you come over here. You need to keep this hand up. It's really starting to piss me off. Keep your hand. people got it twisted. It's more be there so much that the stuff you do wrong pisses your coach off. Well, that is how you get better.
Kimbo, she is a hip hop dancer, but usually hip hop dancers, they have some level of flexibility. I feel like if you're starting out in jiu-jitsu, that's something that you have built in you. That's going to be very helpful in jiu-jitsu is flexibility. I'm about as
coordination.
As a brick wall.
It's coordination, right? It's like if you're coordinated, you're obviously gonna pick things up like a lot quicker. So I feel like dancing is like a huge, like Israel, right? Like he was like a dancer before he got into mixed martial arts and fighting, and it's just translated. That like understanding of how a body moves is just translated really well for him.
Yeah, it has, and I think Kimbo, you probably will have some success because you do have some of that background in dancing. But yeah, just show up to the class. That's what everybody says. That's like the same narrative to everybody. Just show up to class. They're not telling you have to come to class and be 100% every single time. Just show up to class and learn some shit.
Just show up. Oh, I'm tired. Show up. Oh, I've had a hard day at work. Just go to training. Was sick last week. I'm feeling a bit like, bro, if I only trained when I felt good, I would like train once a week. You know what I mean? But I train 25 times a week. Mm-hmm. So 24 of those times, I feel like absolute shit, but I'm still there. Mm-hmm. So if you only train when you're good, like what, you're going to bank on the fact that you're going to get to your fight that day and you're going to just be like, that's going to be your 1 out of 25 moment. When you get to your fight, you're going to like, it doesn't work like that all the time. Sometimes you get to the fight and you feel like shit. We had a bad sleep, or you're a bit sick, or you got an injury. Like these, you need, if you train under these environments, when you wake up fight day and you're sick or you're injured or you're tired, like you're like, well, I've done this consistently for the last how many years. Like I can push through just this once, and it's not going to impact my performance. But if you are someone that, oh no, I'm not feeling right today, I'll skip this session. Oh no, I'm a bit tired today, I'll skip this session. Like when you're tired on fight day or you're sick on fight day, no bones about it. Like you're fucked. You're about to get your ass kicked, mate.
And also, in jiu-jitsu class, like you might go into a gym, you don't know nobody, you start training, right? You might be at the bottom of the totem pole, right? But just wait till the day that the next newbie comes in, and you're not at the bottom of the totem pole. Then you'll feel a little bit better and better and better and better. But you're gonna be playing defense for a while. You're gonna get choked out. You're gonna get ripped apart.
You're gonna get checked out.
Yes, you're gonna get all of that. That's just guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like, don't go to jiu-jitsu class thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking be, doing reverse fucking triangles. Mix that arm bar in. Fucking doing anacondas and shit. No. That
you're gonna catch no one with anything.
That's the sad reality.
You're gonna try not to drown for a bit. Like that's like you're gonna just get a doggy paddle. Just try stay above water. That's like keep everything tight and try not to die. That's like your main goal. Don't worry about the flying triangle. Don't worry about the omoplata. Don't worry, it'll come.
It will. And I'll just tell you right now, like I tell people all the time, the first 6 months of my jiu-jitsu journey, like when I trained jiu-jitsu, was defense. Like I was getting fucked up for 6 months straight, like all the time. Like most people would have quit, but I just continued going and getting fucked up. And eventually I fucked other dude up. And then I was like, yes, now I know I'm getting better. Like that's so great to feel, right? Like a moment in training where you're like, oh shit, I'm fucking getting better, dude. Like this dude was fucking me up, and I just fucking choked him out and held it a little longer just to give him an extra little, something to think about when he comes back. no, I'm just fucking around.
You give him that 6 tap treatment.
I'll give him that Paul Harris treatment.
I do a 6 tap every now and then. You know what I mean? I want to see some panic. I want to see some panic in those taps, friend.
How fast is that fucking head? How fast is that?
Don't give me 2 calm taps and expect me to let anything go. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Give me some panic. Give me 2 hands. Give me 2 hands, friend.
Do the Matt Mitrione. Don't even fight the choke. Don't even fight the choke. Just use both hands to tap and shit like that. Yeah. That's crazy. All right. Let's. There's another question from where is this guy? Julius B. How should the UFC book aging legends? Is there even a place for them in the UFC? There's always a place. It's just booking them. That's the tricky one, I believe, because there's not always like a stockload of legends or aging veterans out there, right?
Short answer, no. The UFC is not in the business of putting on legend fights. Because you pay 2 legends, like 2 guys that have been in there for that long. The longer you fight in the UFC, like your money slowly grows up. Yeah. So your money slowly goes up. So you book 2 legends. That's like 2 guys that are up here on the pay scale. Like that costs like a lot of money to put that fight together. So you put on like a card with half legends, like that's going to break the bank. You know what I mean? You chop a couple of guys that have had a couple of fights from Contender Series in the UFC. You chuck them in the UFC. They fight at this level of pay scale. Oh, dumbass McGee sitting at home on his computer couldn't give a shit. He's eating a bag of Doritos. He's turned the TV on. Whether they're legends or whether it's their first fight in the UFC, he doesn't know what the fuck is going on anyway. He just wants to see someone get knocked out. So, are you going to book 2 legends for $500,000? Or are you going to book 2 guys with undefeated records with dumbass McGee thinks are the exact same thing for $10,000? Well, the UFC is in the business of this.
Dumbass McGee.
Dumbass McGee.
I love that. I love dumbass McGee. It just describes everybody. Yeah, you're a fucking dumbass McGee. We're gonna start that hashtag dumbass McGee. That's what we're gonna call people.
Lick your fingers. Lick your fingers. They taste like Doritos. You're a dumbass McGee.
Dumbass McGee. That's your new T-shirt right there, man. You lick
You
your
got pissed-
fingers.
If you got pissed off by what I just said, you're a dumbass
You're a
McGee.
dumbass McGee.
Congratulations.
For real. Yeah, like the Aging Legends thing, it's hard to say, you know what I mean? Like it seems like the Aging Legends thing or aging veterans thing is to just not stay with the UFC and go over to bare knuckle boxing. Bare knuckle boxing is just full of UFC veterans now, man. Just pretty much dominating everything going on over there. But yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if Shogun even fights again. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure if he has fights on his contract, they're gonna, you know, if he wants to fight, they're gonna give him fights. But it's hard to say who he will fight. But anybody that's in that division, like 205, that's an up and comer, you should be trying to fight Shogun. Don't you think so? Like if you're up and comer and Shogun's in this position where he's on like a, you know, very unstable, you know, streak, wouldn't you be calling out Shogun to fight him? It's a name that you could put on the resume. If you're up and coming, not ranked.
But like general consensus within like the fight community and general consensus within like the UFC is that he's on the way out, right? Like that would be hard to argue against. So if you're up and comer, like, and you're thinking, oh, I want to stack a bunch of names of guys on the way out, that's like a bad mentality to have, especially if you want to work your way towards the title. Yeah, it's like the same thing when like people were saying, oh, like Conor McGregor would be a good fight for me, but then Dana White's come out and said like, oh, the Joe Lauzon fight, the Joe Lauzon Cowboy Cerrone fight is like a loser leaves town fight. It's like, well, I would never touch either of those guys because I never want to put myself in a position where it's loser leaves town. Like that's a lose-lose. Like you're set your trajectory for going out, right? You've set your trajectory for leaving. So it is like a difficult position. But on the whole, the Legends is not the UFC's business. Aging legends, the UFC is not in the business of aging legends.
What do you think about DC like being inducted into the Hall of Fame, but still Anderson Silva is not in the Hall of Fame? What the fuck is going on, Dan? You see, I did my Schmo impersonation a little bit right there. Did you see that? But what's going on with that? You know what I mean? Like, how is Anderson Silva not in there?
Who's more of a company man than DC?
Yeah. Come on, he's
right.
Yeah, he's Dana White, same guy, pretty much the same thing. You know,
he is the UFC. He is like he's a company man. You can definitely see why he's found himself in the Hall of Fame.
But what about like Anderson Silva and fucking, you know, there's a long list of guys that are not in the UFC, but Anderson Silva did come out last week talking pretty wild about the UFC and his treatment before he left.
Just a question. What do you get for being in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know, but DC was crying, so it must be something. You know, like when you cry and you receive something, it must be something valuable to them, right? But to be honest with you,
that guy cries all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he does. Him and Arrow have something in common, right? But
fire and shots.
I'm just saying, like, you know, like I'm just saying, you know, like sensitividad. You know what I mean? That's Spanish for those people out there. But yeah, like the UFC Hall of Fame, I don't know what to think about it, to be honest with you, because you know you're very selective of like who you want to put in there. But I guess that's with every fucking award or Hall of Fame or whatever the fuck's going on with people nowadays. Yeah. Anyways, any other fights you that like kind of like you were entertained by tonight outside of the
yeah, Trinaldo.
Trinaldo and Danny Roberts?
Yeah, I thought that was a really good fight. Trinaldo's a gun, man. He just really doesn't get his that guy just really doesn't get his roses, right? Like
he doesn't. He's fought a lot of.
He's still got like such a strong UFC record. His like list of people, like his performances are still like beast mode performances. Like he puts on some pretty incredible showings. But yeah, the guy's still not getting his roses. I feel like Danny Roberts is a G. Like I feel like he's in that top echelon of that. Like Danny Roberts is a guy I've watched for a very long time, and I think that he's really like one of the best welterweights in the world. And Trinaldo put on a very impressive performance. That's a fight I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, man. Trinaldo's been around forever. Fuck. I didn't even. What the fuck? Like, he did the Ultimate Fighter, the original Brazil season with Chael and I think that was Chael and Vanderlei. That was 2012. He did that season. He didn't make it, but he got signed, and he's been fighting for the UFC since 2012. And he at one point he won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights in a row, and the last fight he won was against Paul Felder in that run. Dude, he's legit, and he's what? How old is he? 43.
Oh,
Shogun is 40. Shogun is 40, and people are like talking crazy, and this guy's at 43, just doing the damn thing, just fucking out there, killing people. Man, it's great. It's great to see, man. It pushes, it should push everybody that yeah, it's wild. It's wild that he was on that show and he's 43 now and still pumping through it. Any other fights? I thought Brandon Royval. Did you see that flyweight fight? Brandon Royval.
What a fight! Nah, that was impressive. What is DC on about though?
About what?
Mate, he was like, I was sitting there watching him, and he was like, oh, he was talking about Kai's fight, and he's like, oh, he dominated belt to belt. Kai was winning that fight, dropped him.
Yeah.
And he come back like, at least, man, that fight's only 2 minutes long. You didn't even do enough. You didn't even do enough film study to watch a 2-minute fight.
Yeah.
Like, and especially a fight you're gonna reference during your commentary. You'd think you would watch it, right? Like it's a good fight. I don't know why you don't spend 5 minutes to do like basic level research, watch that fight, and see that it was a back and forth fight. No his spec. You put some his spec. You put some his spec on my Kai Kara Francis name.
Well, man, I really like Brandon Royval style. He's a gun, man. Like just a young gun fighting the best in the world from the start. And that fight against Kai was one of the best fights, or one of fucking the best rounds you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Just the way these guys would just fucking flow into everything. And Brandon just latched that guillotine on. It was just too tight. I feel like Kai and Brandon will fight in the future. Both guys are, rising up the division. Matt Schnell, what about him, man? I think I think one of his parents had died just recently.
That's terrible. Camp. That's absolutely, man. That's a hard spot. That's why that's hard. But if he wanted to get out there and put it, man, more credit to him. He's a lot more like a powerful man than I am, because I would not. I'm pulling out. I'm giving you the heads up. I would 100% pull out.
Yeah, and I think also, I think most fighters, it's probably best to pull out. This is fighting too. It's not basketball. You even see basketball players. All they got to do is go on the court.
That's a legit excuse.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's not like I hurt my toe or my elbow is sore. That's a legitimate. No one is going to question that.
There's that one guy from Portugal, Andre Fialho. This dude is he's a welterweight.
It was a Fight Pass. Yeah, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, it was Fight Pass. But man, next time he fights, you should watch him, man. He's he's a gun too. Like, dude is like, he'll sit in the pocket. You know, he's over there with Sanford MMA with Henry Hoof, but I
That
think he
doesn't
trained a
really
lot.
that doesn't really like sell a fighter to me though. Like I like fighters that avoid that kind of conflict. To just be like, this guy he just eats them up.
He just takes them down and, you know, ties up their legs.
It's not really selling it to me. He just sits in the pocket and trades. I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna be around that long. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, he's pretty accurate with his striking. I enjoy it. It seems like he's only just getting better. He's already signed, gonna fight in Singapore. Like he called out like Dana and said, Dana, I want to fight in Singapore. That's 4 fights in 5 months. This dude's doing some crazy shit, right? But he's winning. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Dana will give him a fight in Singapore. What do we got next week? Next week is a fight night card, I believe. Let me see. Next week is next week is Blachowicz and Rakic. So that should be a pretty decent main event. Anyways, we done.
We're done, baby.
We are done.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. We need that fucking big machine. Wrap it up. And yeah, everybody that joined us today, thank you so much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like, share, and all that good stuff. If you're watching the replay, leave a comment. Good, bad, or ugly. It's all good. So we'll see you guys next week. Have a good week and see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.